Let's begin. To ease her homesickness, Sadie enters her mother's room and smells her clothes. A little girl in the other room wakes up fearful and checks her wardrobe before starting her daily activities, as she does every day, to make sure that the devil isn't hiding there. In this appointment, William, the father of the house, will listen to his patient's problems and offer solutions with his experience as a therapist. In spite of their anxiety, Will Harper wants to send his children to school after a month while they still have to get back to normal. Though William is surprised that Sadie chose to wear her late mother's dress to school, he does not object, as his children are still grieving the loss of their mother. After haggling over how to get Sawyer's baby tooth pulled, it's time to say goodbye to Sadie, who returns to school after a month with some anxiety. As she tries to hide herself at first, many students sympathize with her and offer condolences after her mother's death. Even the packet of snacks prepared by her mother is still in Sadie's cupboard, but now it has spoiled. After a long time, Bethany congratulates Sadie on returning to school and tries to converse with her. A conversation between Bethany and her friends begins. As soon as they discover that Sadie is wearing her deceased mother's dress, they attempt to persuade her to put it away so that she can forget her mother, but Sadie refuses to do so. The souvenir dress of Sadie is decorated with spoiled food after a minor conflict with one of her selfish friends. As a result of this incident, she immediately turns away from them and leaves the school in tears. As soon as William says goodbye to his last patient, he decides to take a break. However, a stranger shelters him and offers him advice, since he is in a serious situation, and if he doesn't speak to someone about the recent events, he might not get another chance. Because of this, William accepts, and he is also talked to. Lester asks William to close the half-open door so he can speak more easily. He has a strange problem that no one can help him because no crime has happened and nothing has been proven. Lester has lost his 2 children recently, and everyone thinks the killing was his doing, because he knows that he recently lost his wife in a car accident. Lester comes to confess the truth behind the curtain to Dr. Harper. The conversation continues as Lester, who has taken refuge with a therapist for the first time, tells William about the deaths of his 3 children. His first child suffered from sudden infant death syndrome, and then 2 other children died suddenly within a year of that. While William declares this pain and suffering unimaginable, Lester believes that he can understand it because he himself has a child. Lester initially thought his children were hallucinating, so he ignored what they said until he saw with his own eyes the moment his second child's neck was broken. He now finds nothing unbelievable. He shows William a picture, the monster drew by his eldest child. This monster will come to our children if we neglect them, according to Lester, and after the death of the first child, their conditions are ready to receive it. The scared William wants to leave the room, but Lester wants him to believe his words. In the end, he leaves the room and assures him that he believes everything and that the recording will stay with him. When William realizes that Lester has left the room after submitting the police report about a suspicious man in their house, he does not believe his words. He goes upstairs and observes Sadie while she is washing her keepsake, but Sadie later notices the stranger. She goes to his late mother's office and tries to clean up the mess in this room, but she notices strange sounds behind the wall. Though frightened, she decides to go into the closet. There is a clear sound of a fight between 2 people in the warehouse, but there is nothing inside. A stranger is in their home, and William warns Sadie about it. When Sawyer realizes that something terrible has happened in their house, she bargains with her friends to have her baby tooth extracted A little later, they find the body of Lester, who committed suicide. He even shows the police the photo Lester gave him. The police guess Lester had a guilty conscience after killing his children, and now he is trying to kill himself. Sadie explains that she heard sounds like a fight behind the wall, and that Lester may not have committed suicide, but the police officer does not accept her irrational words and believes Lester's murder caused the noise. It's strange that Sawyer falls asleep, despite all the light at night, but William doesn't seem to mind. As usual, Sawyer asks her father to check under her bed and closet to make sure the monster isn't there. And as always, there is no monster, so Sawyer sleeps peacefully. In her messages to her mother, Sadie expresses how much she misses her. Sadie talks to William about her longing for her mother as he checks on her in her room. William apologizes for what happened today. According to her, she still can't believe she lost her mother, and that the heavy burden that weighs on her shoulders after the accident has robbed her of strength. After hearing this, William asks Sadie to talk with her psychiatrist about it as well. Nevertheless, Sadie wanted her father to offer his advice rather than a stranger, and he would find a solution for her. Even though William is a therapist, he struggles with these mental problems and cannot find a solution for his daughter because of his unstable mental condition. After falling asleep, Sawyer hears a strange sound inside her closet, and her closet door opens by itself at the same time. Something appears to go beneath her bed as well. Sawyer uses her moonlight to find out what's hiding under her bed, but when she sees the monster, she screams and jumps. In another room of the house, Sadie is learning how to summon a spirit so that she can communicate with her mother by lighting a candle and directing its flame. If her mother is nearby, she should direct the flame to the left and transfer all her good memories and feelings to it. As Sawyer comes into Sadie's room to confess that something is in her room, Sadie dismisses it as just a nightmare, but realizes it's time to pull Sawyer's loose tooth since her face is red. By using her mother's old trick, Sadie asks Sawyer to remove the loose tooth and assures her that the door will close on its own at the no 3. But when she counts to 2, the door closes on its own and Sawyer's tooth falls out, scaring them both. In the middle of the night, they hear the sound of this monster, and it drags Sawyer's tooth into the closet. The next day, they visit their psychiatrist to find a solution to their grief by explaining their problems after their mother's death. Sadie wants to find out if her mother is still living in the world. As the Trappist admits, she has felt close to her father many times since his death, and the lost loved ones may still rebel against their family and protect them. After the older sister, Sawyer also mentions her recent problem and believes that something black is following her. The black creature targeted her right after what happened in their house yesterday. Seeing Sawyer phobic of absolute darkness, Sadie believes this creature is imaginary. The doctor knows the cure for this phobia is facing it and uses a flashing light to convince Sawyer that she has no reason to be afraid of the dark. In the beginning, there is no reason to fear, but as the experiment progresses, Sawyer becomes fearful of the dark monster. As Sawyer screams, the experiment is stopped, and they realize her mental state has worsened, and she openly admits that she is seeing a monster. She is asked to attend his next session in order to discuss the difficulty of grieving the loss of his beloved wife, just as children do. In William's view, the current situation is unsuitable, and he avoids seeking advice from another therapist. In the car, William apologizes to his children because he shouldn't have let Lester into their house in the first meeting. Sadie, suspicious of recent events, tries to get more information from Lester. Meanwhile, Sawyer, who cannot sleep, notices Sadie in her room, who tells her to sleep earlier. and don't worry about her fantasies, as they aren't real. After noticing that Sadie is not in her room and hearing a noise at the door, Sawyer decides to leave the room. In the office of her father, Sadie finds Lester's registered address. She then listens to the recording of Lester and William's conversation. When she notices Lester's daughter's drawing book in her father's room, she decides to retrieve the lost picture by using Lester's words about her daughter painting a monster face. Sawyer is being harassed by the boogeyman, who has made himself sound exactly like Sadie to scare her. In the end, Sadie discovers that the recorded voice at the end of the recorded conversation is constantly apologizing to her children because he didn't believe what they said, and he ends up being captured by the monster at the end of the recording. After drying the recorder, Sadie notices a strange shadow in the house, but doesn't care until Sawyer finds her and hates her for starting this ridiculous prank on her. As Sadie feigns ignorance, Sawyer finds the painting and confirms it is the same creature she sees every day. After promising to reveal the truth, Sadie asks Bethany to take her personally to Billings' house the next day. As soon as she reaches Lester's house, Sadie asks Bethany to wait in the car for her, and she behaves naughtily around Lester's house. Since no one is home, Sadie leaves a note asking for help, if necessary. However, its attention is drawn to the upper floor, and it does not go outside to search there. In the picture of the mother of the Billings family, a snapshot of her can be seen inside the closet door. The woman informs Rita Billings that a foul creature was seen inside their home after her husband visited, and now she wants to find out what exactly is going on. Because of Lester's mistake, this creature now follows their family wherever they go and kills them one by one. Boogeyman is the name of this monster, who likes to play with his victims to make them crazy, and can even imitate anyone's voice like an ominous reverberation. Fire was created as the first human invention to protect themselves from such an ancient creature. The boogeyman needs to hide in the dark. Sadie, according to Mrs. Billings' words, must constantly remain in the light in order to avoid being bitten by the creature that is currently behind her, as the monster has chosen its prey. When the shooting starts, Sadie leaves the house immediately and gets out of this cursed place with the help of Bethany. After returning home, she avoids answering Sawyer, believing that there is no boogeyman. But in the meantime, she is taken aback, and moments later, as she feels a pain in her chest, she falls asleep in fear. Hearing a loud noise outside the room, she goes to where the noise is coming from and asks Sawyer to wait in her room. The source of the noise is William, who is packing his wife's belongings. He believes that the existence of these things caused Sawyer hallucinations, but Sadie disagrees with him because she believes William doesn't care about their mother, while William disagrees with her. So Sadie wants to finally talk about the grief of losing his wife, but William remains silent and decides to return the items without a fight. He asks Sadie to move the box to a storage room, and the argument ends. Sadie goes through her mother's belongings and pulls out a lighter and an old hallucinogenic snuff box and decides to keep everything. Seeing old footage from her mother's personal camera, she decides to try to contact her. As a result, she asks her mother to turn the lighter to the left if she is with her, but nothing happens to make her unhappy. After hearing the sound coming from behind the warehouse, she goes to find it and meets a shadow of her deceased mother. When she turns on the light, she realizes that her mother's dress is the only thing hidden behind the darkness. She is still watching old movies in the school bathroom the next day. As soon as the recent events are over, Bethany asks Sadie to allow her to meet with her friends at their house so that Sadie's mental condition will improve and she won't be burdened by this incident alone. to ensure Sadie can always spend time with her friends. William asks Sawyer not to disturb her sister tonight at their house and to get in touch with her father if there are any reports of the boogeyman. Once Sadie's friends arrive at their house, they get bored and ask her for alcohol. Since neither of them enjoy alcohol, there is no alcohol in their house, but Sadie reaches for her mother's old box skirt to reveal the original one in order to be a good host. The lighter is barely lit, and the guests use the keepsake of Sadie's mother. When Sadie takes the first bite, she coughs violently and chokes. In the bathroom, she pulls out the string stuck in her throat and discovers that Sawyer's extracted tooth is now in her mouth. Sadie keeps silent and does not speak about this case to anyone. A friend asks her to take them to the place where Lester was hanged and show them there. When Sadie takes them into her mother's room, they lock the door on her so she can self-medicate, but Sadie notices the presence of the monster in the room and asks her friends to open the door for her immediately. She has a close encounter with the boogeyman in the dark and slaps her friend in the face for causing it to happen and hates Bethany for being their accomplice. Her friends rush out of the house while Sawyer plays a video game. The boogeyman is nearby, looking for Sawyer and even calling her name. In the end, he attacks the little girl, and she hits the TV. Seeing Sawyer's condition, William and Sadie rush her to the hospital. Upon regaining consciousness, Sawyer admits that the boogeyman is trying to kill her, and Sadie admits that she believed her words and barely escaped from him. The phone conversation reveals Rita Billings' solution to destroy this devil creature, so she visits their house. After terminating the call, she encounters her father, who is crying and reminiscing about carrying his wife to the hospital after the accident. As a result of these events, William blames himself, and now the little girl is delusional. Sadie admits that she saw the monster too, but William doesn't believe her because she wasn't in a normal state at the time. When her father doesn't believe her words, Sadie decides to solve the problem herself and visits the Billings house. In order to protect her younger sister, she has to reappear in this place. As a result of his hunger, the boogeyman attacks her. Rita wires the entire room to the gun so that the monster can be trapped. Rita has to tie Sadie's hands after hitting her in order to bring the devil home. She begs Rita to stop baiting her, but she has already made up her mind and promises not to hurt her. She then hides near Sadie and dims the lights for the boogeyman. As soon as the devil enters, Sadie is afraid, but when he attacks her, he gets caught in Rita's trap and is likely killed. Despite shooting him again and spitting on his corpse, Rita is attacked by him when she believes the boogeyman is dead. When she asks Sadie for assistance, she barely manages to free her hands and escape being killed, as Rita did. Having fled from the Billings house, Sadie immediately calls her father, who spent hours searching for her with Sawyer, but now they are back home. Sadie asks him to stop returning and to stay in the dark. Sadie runs to their house and tries to turn on the lights, but the power goes out. As darkness engulfs their entire home, she walks around in fear as the boogeyman attacks. Eventually, she manages to find Sawyer and reassures her that she is behind the closet by telling her about her 6th birthday. Sawyer is fine, and she has found safety in the thread of light to ward off the boogeyman. The devil has taken William downstairs with him, so Sadie must prepare herself to liberate her father. When she leaves, Sawyer joins her and decides to be present in this operation to overcome her phobia. In search of William, Sadie asks Sawyer to move more quietly, but they soon find William in the clutches of the boogeyman. She is grabbed by the monster, which attacks them. The boogeyman is about to kill Sadie, but William stops him, giving them another chance to live. In this conflict, the light cord connected to Sawyer is cut, leaving them with no hope, except the memorial lighter of their late mother, which keeps the boogeyman away from them. The flame of the lighter is running out, and it is slowly getting dark throughout the barn. William's leg is injured, and they can't get out. In the dark, the boogeyman gets very close to them, but at the last minute, the lighter is lit with the help of the unseen ones. Sadie realizes her mother has come to their rescue when this huge flame ignites. After driving away the devil with Sawyer spray, they set the boogeyman on fire with petrol, which destroys him and invalidates his spell. The fire is all over the place, and after thanking her mother, Sadie says goodbye to her, and all three of them leave the house safely, watching the house burn. The important thing is that all three of them survived. Some time later, William has decided to talk to his children about his fears after his wife's sudden death and reveal his fears. He is proud of his daughters because they have inherited the spirit of resistance from their mother and apologizes to them for not believing their words at the beginning finally. He promises to be more careful of them from now on. At the end of the film, it is shown that the boogeyman may still be looking for them because he continues to show signs of his existence near this family by mimicking the sound